I was 30 when I finally said the words out loud. For 12 years, they sat in the back of my mind like a box I refused to open. I learned how to live around it, how to smile around it, how to love around it. I told myself that if no one ever knew, it couldn't really hurt anyone. I was wrong. The secret started when I was 18. Back then, I was a different person. Angry, impulsive, convinced the world owed me something. My father had just left. My mother worked nights, and I was the kid who pretended not to care that everything was falling apart. There was one night I wish I could erase like a sentence on a screen. It was raining. I remember that. The kind of rain that makes everything blurry. I'd had a fight with my mom, screaming about how she never understood me, how she was never there. I grabbed the car keys and left before she could answer. I shouldn't have been driving. I shouldn't have been crying. I shouldn't have been checking my phone. I was halfway through a text when it happened. Headlights. A shadow. A sound like someone slamming their fist into the hood of the car. I hit the brakes so hard my chest slammed into the steering wheel. For a moment there was only silence and rain. I remember my hands shaking so badly I could barely open the door. I stepped out into the street, heart hammering in my throat, eyes searching the darkness. There was a bike on the ground, wheels still spinning. A small figure curled on the pavement. A boy, maybe 10, maybe 12, I don't know. I still don't know. Hey! Hey! I shouted, dropping to my knees beside him. He groaned. He was breathing. His eyes opened, glassy and confused. You're okay, I said, like I had any right to say those words. Someone shouted from a porch, lights flicked on in nearby houses. I panicked. I wanted to stay. I wanted to help. But the fear was louder than everything else. 18, terrified, selfish. I got back into the car, and I drove away. I told myself that someone else would help him, that they'd seen, that they'd call an ambulance, that he'd be fine. That night, I parked 2 blocks away from my house and walked home in the rain like nothing had happened. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table when I came in, eyes red from crying, mouth already forming the words, "Where have you?" "I'm tired," I said. "I don't want to talk." I shut my bedroom door and sunk to the floor. I sat there all night, staring at my shaking hands, replaying the sound over and over in my head. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just started building the box in my mind, plank by plank, and shoved the whole thing in there. The next day, I checked the news online, half expecting to see my own face staring back at me in a headline. Local teen arrested. Hit-and-run driver found. But there was nothing. I searched for boy bike accident, rain accident, hospital. Nothing. For weeks, I walked around in a fog. Every siren made my heart slam against my ribs. Every police car felt like it was slowing down when it passed me. But nothing happened. Life moved on. Or at least it pretended to. I graduated. I moved out. I got a job. I learned to laugh again. I learned to push the memory down so far that it only came back in dreams, in flashes, in those quiet moments when everything was too still and my brain had time to remember what I'd done. I started telling myself a story, that if there was no news, no charges, no investigation, then maybe he was okay. Maybe he'd walked away with a broken bone. Maybe he didn't even remember my face. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe. 12 years later, I had a new life. A fiancé, a small apartment, a steady job, friends who thought of me as the reliable one. My mother and I were finally on good terms. She called me almost every day just to ask how I was doing. From the outside, I looked fine, normal, stable, but that box was always there. My fiancé, Leo, was the kind of person who believed in honesty like it was a religion. He'd tell me everything, embarrassing stories, stupid mistakes, regrets. He trusted me with all of it. Sometimes he'd ask, half joking, "What's your darkest secret, huh? What's the one thing you've never told anyone?" I'd laugh it off. "You wouldn't want to know," I'd say. He thought I was teasing. I wasn't. The night everything fell apart, we were sitting on the couch, wedding plans scattered over the coffee table. Seating charts, color swatches, catering options. My phone buzzed with a news notification, and for whatever reason, I opened it. Local family seeks witnesses 12 years after hit-and-run accident. My throat went dry. There was a picture of a young man, maybe early 20s now, sitting in a wheelchair, his legs covered with a blanket, his smile tight but brave. The caption read, "Injured at age 10 in a rainy night bike accident, still searching for answers." 10. Rain. Bike. My vision tunneled. The words blurred. My heart pounded so loud I couldn't hear anything else. "Hey," Leo said softly, noticing my face. "You okay?" I couldn't breathe. The article explained how the driver had never been caught, how the boy had survived but never walked again, how his family was still asking for witnesses to come forward after all these years, hoping for closure. Something in me broke. I heard my own voice, small and distant. I did something. Leo put the papers down. "What do you mean?" The box was cracking. Splinters everywhere. I felt like if I didn't say it now, I never would. That I would go to my grave with this secret rotting inside me. "I hit someone with my car when I was 18, I said. On a rainy night. A kid on a bike. I panicked. I left." The silence that followed was worse than any shouting. His face went blank, then slowly twisted into something I'd never seen on him before. Hurt, disbelief, something like disgust. "What?" he said, barely above a whisper. I told him everything. My mother's fight, the rain, the bike on the ground, the boy breathing, the voices from the houses, the driving away, the nights of checking the news, the years of pretending it hadn't happened. By the time I finished, I was crying so hard I could barely see him. "I'm so sorry," I said over and over. "I was scared. I was stupid. I didn't know what to do." "You left him," he said quietly. "I know. You knew a child was hurt and you drove away." "I know," I sobbed. I know. "How could you not tell anyone?" His voice rose, shaking. "Not your mother, not the police, not me?" "Because I was afraid," I said. "Because I was a coward. Because once I left, I didn't know how to undo it." He stood up like the couch was burning him. "Do you know how many times I told you everything I was ashamed of?" he said. "How many times I trusted you with the worst parts of me?" "I didn't know how to tell you," I whispered. "You had 12 years, he said. He grabbed his jacket and keys. I reached for him, but he stepped back like my touch made him sick. "I need to think," he said. I can't look at you right now." The door closed behind him. I've never heard a sound so final. That was the night everything I'd built on top of that box, every laugh, every plan, every promise started to crumble. My mother was the next person I told. She came over the next day, took one look at my face, and knew something was wrong. I told her the story, expecting anger, disappointment, shock. What I didn't expect was for her to start crying. "I heard the sirens that night after you left," she said. I always felt something was wrong. Why didn't you come to me?" "I was afraid you'd hate me," I said. She shook her head, wiping her eyes. "I'm your mother. I'm supposed to be there for you when you make mistakes, especially the big ones." We sat at the table in silence for a long time. Then she said, "You have to go to them, to the family, to the police. You can't carry this anymore, and they deserve the truth." My stomach turned. The idea of walking into a police station after 12 years, confessing a crime I'd carefully buried, terrified me. But for the first time, the fear of doing nothing felt worse. I wish I could say that confessing fixed everything, that it brought closure and healing and forgiveness. It didn't look like that. The police reopened old files. There were questions, legal consequences, lawyers, painful details. The boy's family, now the young man's, had to relive the worst night of their lives because of me. They didn't forgive me. Not really. They thanked me for finally coming forward, but there was no relief in their eyes. Only a tired, hollow anger. I understood. I had taken 12 years of something from them that I could never replace. As for Leo, he didn't come back. We talked once, weeks later. He told me he couldn't marry someone who had been capable of running away like that, of hiding something so enormous for so long. He said every time he looked at me, he saw the girl in the car driving away from a broken child. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I knew he was right. The secret I hid for 12 years destroyed the life I'd built on top of it. My relationship, my carefully managed image, the illusion that I was a good person who just made small mistakes. But here's what I've learned. A secret that big doesn't stay buried. It grows roots. It pushes up through the floorboards of your life. It cracks everything you try to build over it. Confessing didn't save me. It didn't erase what I did. It just finally gave the truth somewhere to exist outside my head. And now, when I look at my hands, I don't pretend I don't know what they've done. I live with it. I accept whatever comes with it. Because the only thing worse than destroying everything with the truth is destroying yourself slowly with a lie.